Of course, you've got another one on here on the yellow float again. Must be something about yellow they like.
Well, they are large because I feed them. Believe it or not, I feed them with bread and milk to get them to take it on, and then they double in size nearly.
Like that. You see maybe the end of it there.
No hand wipe rag, lovely.
Well, this time of year for me, one of my favourites would be the pinky, which is the smaller fly, which is a green bottle fly.
Here you go. This float is on fire.
Some of you might have remembered recently, I mentioned in the back end of one of the films, I just didn't know whether I could make floats out of these feathers, which I've got down as red kite feathers. But they're quite big. So I'm going to sit down. You see, I don't know how much oil content. They're not like a waterfowl, which we'd normally use because they have an oil content in the feather. So I don't know what oil content these sort of predator birds are going to have. Just found them out on the lawn. I'm going to peel them all off, and I'm going to varnish them first so that they're sealed up. I feel that's the only way to do it. So I'm going to start by peeling the feathers off. But this is all a bit of fun. So I'm going to start seeing how they pull, and they do actually strip down like this, because this is the end I need, the fat end down to about there. It's going to be tapered as it gets further down the stem, I'm going to call it. Somebody in the ornithological world, tell us, what do you call it? Is it called the stem? The shank, the shaft, what do you call it? As actually coming off. I don't want to peel too far. I'm not taking big handfuls. I'm trying to get them off smoother. Obviously, I've tied plenty of flies in my time. Using feathers like, oh, these ones might have to be cut off. No, they do come. But I'll tell you what, they are tough. The best way seems to be take a little pinch like this there, 1/4 inch, and just tweak them off. So I'm going to say the floats, the tip of the float's going to be here. How far down do I come? Because it goes, it's circular, if I can show it there. It's a circular quill there, and then it goes or it goes square somehow. It goes square, and there's a groove in there. You might be able to see that. There's an actual groove in there running up and down that. I can't say I've noticed that with waterfowl feathers before, and they're very, very, very strong. That is presumably how it goes from round to the square to give them the power. So I'm going to snip that off, do 4, and see how we go. These, incidentally, you can see if I whip those onto a hook, a pair of those reversed, I'd have to take some off, you know, the other side obviously, to show you properly. Let's see if I can find some. I've got all left-handed ones. But you'd have a pair of feathers like that, and you could whip those like this, and you can see that would make the wing of a wet fly. That would be a wet fly, not a dry fly. It'd be a wet fly. Also going to try just snipping them off with scissors. Got the wife's best scissors. Just as a trial, because I don't know this species. And I can see, going down there, that you need to peel them off rather than cut them off. It doesn't go into that channel very well. Maybe it would sand back. Well, let's try it anyway. I've actually got 4 feathers. So I've got plenty to try. Like that. You see maybe the end of it there. That's going to need sealing over as well. So I'm going to try rubbing this down with a bit of sandpaper and see which is going to get the better finish, that one or the way I peeled them off. In fact, I can already feel that one is much better. I've got 2 types of sandpaper there. I'll call it a coarse one and almost like a sort of, I think we call them emery board. So I'm just going to see which one gets rid of those bits that are fluffing up on the edge. If they will come off at all. That takes it down, but I don't know if it does any lasting damage to it. So let's try some of the finer one. Oh yeah, I think that's better. I'm going to use some regular rod ring silk. This is a fine grain one. I don't know what thread size that is. It's about 40 years old. I was going to use cotton, which we did as kids, and I thought, Graeme, just go out and get some proper stuff. So I use this really old one, but it's still being kept in the dark, so it's okay. Then what I'm going to do is I've got some paper clips. Let's get the specs on. And I'm just going to use a paper clip bent open like this. Get your wire first. You might find a similar piece of wire that's perhaps finer, but I can also make the eyelet at the bottom big enough that even with my eyesight I can go and see it, you know. So I'm going to come down, what should we say, just over 1/4 of an inch. And to be honest, with that groove in there and that side, this fits perfectly in there. So I want to sort of put the circle here like this. And so I want to make the eyelet and then pair it up the other side. Fiddly, it's always fiddly. Everything's fiddly when you're trying to film, watch the lens, watch the monitor. I over bend it first, squeeze the eyelet down, and that should, if I snip it off there, that should make my eyelet. And then I'm going to whip it on with this silk. It's pinched in that groove really, really well. So I'm going to leave a tag end just out the back that I can pinch under. And if I just start rolling it slowly, I should be able to get it to whip over on itself. I've got the ring, just like that, tapped down right on the base of the quill, and then I've got a tag in there which hopefully I can keep hold of and start to roll it. Once I get a bite on it, as I say, I should be away. Right, I've whipped all 4 eyelets on there, rings at the top. So I'm going to start varnishing these now, get them sealed up, and I'm going to put them to support in a piece of insulation pipe, which I can, you know, put them either tip down like that, or I can put them just like that with the ring holding them. Either way, and if the varnish runs down over there, no big deal. Just using some yacht varnish, small paintbrush, and my best reading glasses. Hello? Filming. Now, I have no idea whether this is the right way of doing it. I've done plenty of floats, of course I've done plenty of floats, of course I have over the years. But it depends, you know, on the quill itself and how waterproof it is. And I just got some sort of misgivings that, as it's not a waterfowl based feather, they're going to have some natural oils in it. Then, you know, maybe I should seal it up first and then paint it later, especially down here at the bottom end. So I'm pretty gobby there, and I'm going to put it in my holder like this. It's going to stick to it, because I dried stick into it, but at least it allows me to finish off the top like this. And yes, make sure it doesn't roll away. I don't want to use and leave it white like this. I think that'd be too garish. Might spook the fish, especially if you're fishing shallow. So I'm going to paint it, and I probably won't paint it, have it as a gloss finish as well, for the very same reason. I think what I'll do is probably do black and brown on the main part of the float, and then orange or yellow tips for contrasting against shiny surfaces and dull surfaces. So I've got them all finished now. Hopefully they stay balanced there in that piece of insulation pipe pinch there. And we'll come back in a day or so and then I can start deciding what colour I'm going to paint them. Okay, these have all gone off and stuck in there a little bit. Now what I'm going to do now is give them a coat of whatever colour I want, which in my case is going to be Hammerite brown, purely because I don't want to go out and buy any brown. What I'm going to do it the other way around now, because I'm going to be painting obviously a colour of my choice on the top, yellow, orange, red, whatever I'm going to do. I can afford to pop them back into that position like that. Any paint that runs down there, it doesn't matter because I'm going to paint over the top as well. So, a bit of brown on each one and then leave them another day to dry. Just make sure you don't spill it, Graeme. I just figure a sort of random colour would be best, you know. That's going to be the best neutral. I don't want to go into like camouflaging and all that, you know. I'm pretty sure the fish aren't going to be that picky. But you can see there, that brown. So it's got double seal. As far as I can see, I'm going to have sealed it once with varnish and then once with paint over the top. And yes, I've got it straight on my finger. Yuck. Right, I'm going to do all four and then we'll come back tomorrow.
Okay guys, I'm down at Watmore. Going to give it a go with these two floats. I've got the yellow one and I've got the red top one. I'm laughing because I think I've got to go back to the tackle shop because they take so much shot, it's unbelievable. I've got one top and bottom, trying it with a bait band on it. I'll show you this one. Now that's what it came up like, with the yellow top, white band, and I don't know what colour that is, some sort of hammerite brown I use there. I've got my worms there. I've got a stringer shot here, which you normally fish like this in a river, but I'm giving it a go here just to see what the difference is. A bunch of worms on there. I'm just going to lob it out by those lilies and see what I can get. I'll chuck one handful of ground bait in. No idea anything at all. I'll pull this float under. I'm going to sit way back here. Small perch, roach. Oh, it's gone. Don't say it's going to be a plague of perch. I might. I think I might have overshotted it, guys, really. Don't know. I've just got them. Leaving about an inch of worm at the top. Well, that float settled down all right. It takes so many shots. The red one's even worse. It's taking three treble A and a couple of BB as well. I think I could use it pike fishing. You never know. It could be a big perch, tench, silvers, bream. I'm watching the float, and this one is, I'll just show you the red one with a multitudinous amount of shot there to shot it. But as far as I'm concerned, the floats are working. So there you go. I'm looking at this. Got a swivel head like tennis. Red top, white band, brown. This one is bottom end only, as you see, locking shot. I don't really think it matters too much. Move this around, you'll see where I'm going. Now, you can't put bank sticks in your swims here, and I haven't bought my barrow because I normally have this rigged on a barrow. So do you know what? I'm just going to rest the rods on the edge of the bank there, so that I can get the chair fairly close. It'll be better for filming for you guys. Someone's pulled this worm right off the hook. So let's go out and see if we can see the floats with this camera. Right on the right. Got a little bit of the tiny bit of ground bait. Just throwing a pinch or two out there. I could go close to the lilies, but then if I get a decent fish, he's going to be in the lilies. So sort of bait up about a couple of feet. Just had a bite on the red float, which you guys would have missed. Would have been a small fish. Just about there. I'm on. Perch, I'm thinking. That's the culprit, and if I get those, at least it shows the float works. Yes, just oh, bite on the right hand float. Look, you can shot these down as to whatever you want, really. I think the right hand float is on the bottom, and the left hand is just off. I might even have lost a shot on the left hand one. I'll try slightly bigger worms. On again. What have we got? What have we got? Oh. Hang on a minute, hang on a minute, hang on a minute. If this is a perch, I want to see it. It does not feel like a carp. I'm calling this a tench. The way that's digging, I'm having this as a tench all day long. Wow. Crikey, it's a hell of a bend in the roll. Look at my float. Let's see, bottom end, only red one. Or maybe it's a small carp, one of those sort of F1 things. It's a funny digging fight, guys. I mean, what fun on a float I've made myself from feathers I found in the garden. What is that? Oh, it is a carp. It's what more? There's carp in here. In we go. I wonder if this is one of the smaller ones. Because this is a nice size one. That is a fully scaled mirror, which is, I reckon, one of Andy's earlier stockings, that one. That's a nice fish, oh look. For a float, for a homemade float. Back he goes. Oh, I forgot the hand wipe round, put it in the car, and obviously best thing to do is leave it in the car. Well, I'll tell you what would be nice, to get a nice perch, my jumper. Look at it. Sad, isn't it, really? Well, that shows you earthworms. Just dug, fresh earth. I think there's something I've always thought. Fresh dug, there is something about the smell of them. I'll use that one again by the look of it. Well, I see no reason to fish that. Oh, I've got a perch on this one as well. That is a small perch. See, there's enough moisture in there for those worms to survive, and I'll put them in the fridge when I get home. Keep them chilled, and I could have 3 or 4 different sessions here. No, not just here, out of those worms. You got to ask yourself, which one did the fish come on? Hopefully, I might be able to zoom in on that float if I keep very still. That should just about be sinking to the bottom now. So it's quite deep there. I'd say I'm, crikey, all of 6 feet, more than 6 feet in depth there. A lovely little sheltered spot. I might try later on a big strangling worm, because there are some big perch in here. Now, the other thing I can do, you can get a pair of scissors like this, and you can scissor some of these up and chuck them in, but to be honest, I'm honestly not going to bother. I'm just going to use a bunch of smallish ones like this, and possibly if I went to a real small, I thought that float had gone. Smith, watch that right hand float, please. It's a little bit sheen of a glare there. I might put my glasses on. You know, I don't have to strain looking in there. I mean, thing is, where I am there, you might not see it, but if I go slight here, the yellow is in the shiny patch, and if I put the red in the shiny patch, it definitely stands out better, being darker. So that's why you have 2 coloured floats. The yellow is going to look better down in here, you know, be more visible, and the red, you know, will stand out in the shiny area. Well, I've had one carp, can't grumble. The latest new ground bait. There he goes. Small fish. I find when you get a little dip like that, generally it's a small fish. So That's all we need. That's better. Got the glasses on. Just cuts that glare down and makes it everything pin sharp. We just cast that out and there's fish on it. That's about a foot or so from the lilies. Gonna have to put a bag down there, I think, put my tackle bag there just to keep it off the bottom a little bit. And then I'd be okay putting a butt rest back here somewhere, down there. I'm winding in and somebody else has lost a load of line here. I'm guessing between the lilies and the rushes, and I'm snagged on it. Gonna have to try, and I don't want to set up again. I hate shotting floats big time. I'll see if I can get it out. You'll see what I mean when I tighten up. You think it's on the bottom, look, it's not. There's a huge amount of line snagged up there. I wonder if my landing net is long enough to reach the snag. Let's have a look. Always something, and that always something. Look, see it? Should be able to get through there. I think I got it. Yes, I got it off, but the line's still out there, which is kind of annoying. That one went sweetly. Little bit bigger perch, little bit bigger. Trouble is that line that somebody left in there is now stretched across there, so if I get a decent fish digging. There we go, little perch here. There we go. They don't get, they cast well, these, because they're so heavy. You know, they take so much shot. Of course, we've got another one on here on the yellow float again. Must be something about yellow they like. It's definitely not a small fish. I'm hoping it doesn't dump me in the rushes. And it obviously would be a carp. Obviously, there's not much you can do if you get a big fish. If they want to go in there, they'll go in there. If they want to go in the lilies, they go in there. You can just try and do your best to keep it in the middle. This one's going very, very well. And I did think it was a small perch. I've got to be honest, the bite. I've had another shot come off the top there. I can see the float sliding up there. So don't forget, garden worms just dug this afternoon. This looks like a nice mirror, guys. I'm not going to bully it because it might be one of those afternoons where you only get a few bites. There we go. Oh. He's in. Wow, that's made a day. Look at that one. That's 2 mirrors in a row. Well, there we go, guys, in the sun. The perch are getting a little bit bigger, tad bigger. I've dropped another couple of carp out there. You know, bumped them and thumped them, boom, 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 really hard, pulled some line and gone. So I'm hopeful we might pick something else up. The yellow float's got a perch bobbing up and down. That's why I think they used to have the old round ball type floats like this called a perch bobber. But what a fabulous afternoon it's turned into, or evening as it is now. I was talking with Andy just now, and I caught that other mirror I caught was a strange size, like say 3 pounds, 3.5 pounds, and he put those in here, I think like £1/2 pound or something. So he's really pleased, because it just goes to show they're growing really well, and it had a belly to it as well. So nice to catch. bigger perch, a bream, bit late in the year for a tench, but here at Watmore you never really know. I've got to be honest, I found it quite amusing with this float, and you know, I think I've caught as many fish with this as I would have done if I'd had shop bought floats, and I've had the fun of making them. That's the thing, it's so satisfaction. Look, there's no satisfaction in trying to work out what shot they're taking, because I mean I've got through most of my packets of BBs, AAs, treble A's, whatever's. But you know, once you know what it's going to take, that's fine, because oh, that small perch. Once you get used to it, you'll be okay. But then you can't find a uniformity when you're making your own floats, really, when they're quills, because depending on how you cut them, they're all going to take a slightly different shot. So as long as you've got like an inch and don't shot it down too small, I think it's proved its point that you can make your own float and catch fish with them, and extremely satisfying, and still miss them. Another fish on, people. It's not a perch, must have had 15 perch, I'd say. It's a carp, it's on, wait for this, the yellow float again, I don't get it. But I did say early on, I'm fancying the yellow. I'll keep him right in the middle of the swim if I can. Yeah, he's there. That's bizarre, isn't it? 3 mirrors in a row. So I'm saying the mirrors obviously must love yellow. Look at those scales on it. If you hold still, here you go. This float is on fire. Forgot what colour it was. Oh my god, it's the yellow one again. Look at that roach. Beauty. No hand white rag, lovely. Well, I'm wondering why that yellow float's been so good, and I wonder if it's because it's closer to those lilies. So I've switched them over. I put the red one closer to the lilies, the yellow one on the left, and the yellow one is still getting the fish. Look, bare hook, that would be perch, I dare say. But it is strange, I'm piling through my worms here. What a good job I dug enough. I don't really want to put any big ones on yet, because I'm thinking of taking them on a special excursion down to the coast, because there's not many ragworm around. Black lug are really outrageously expensive. The nearest thing you're going to get to them are frozen black lug, what they call a wrap. They're wrapped up in paper individually. I think it's about 10 in a packet. You can get them from places like Graham's Tackle Up. I think Graham keeps a freezer stock full of black lug when you can get them. That's the thing. But years ago we used to use for flatfish earthworms, you know, lobworms, big ones. So I feel if I do get the chance to dive down the coast tomorrow, because I fish for anything and everything, as you guys know, proper all-round fishing, I like to call it. That wasn't a proper all-round strike, it's sort of delayed. I will fish one rod just with earthworms, another rod just with black lug, or a couple of wraps of black lug, a little bit of squid, not a great deal. Don't know where I'll probably go. I was going to go down Milford Shingle, which is a shingle bank, but these little perch, oh god, I must have had 20 or 30, 40, I don't know, they're just swathes of them. But listen, they're fish to catch, they give you a bite. And here we go again. Oh, he's come off, that was no way perch. If it was, I don't want to think about how big it was. I feel that was Mr. Carp, and he was on his way through the lilies and out the other side. So there you go, a little bit of ground bait left. I've got about an hour fishing, guys, but you can see using this float to make your own floats. It could be anything, seagull, quills. Why don't you have a go? It's just a bit of fun, isn't it? For goodness sake, you know, you can use shot put ones. Look, we've all got too many floats. I've made 4, haven't I? I've made 4 floats. I'm using 2, and I'm hard pushed to keep up with those, to be honest. Oh no! Let me get this in. Always like to get one in before I. Too late. Missed it. I'm kind of curious why I had those 2 or 3 carp, and then it seems to have gone quiet. But it is a superb evening for float fishing. I'll get it in the right place. I feel in a minute I'm going to hit a real big lump. I'm kind of amazed. Look, that's what I'm using there. Not the really bigger ones I dug. I'm trying to keep them for tomorrow. Come on out, my son. And do your work. Actually, once you get used to the weight of the float, it's not too bad for fishing. And I'm fishing them like this far apart. Most people say you must be mad trying to run 2 floats at once, and it is a bit manic, don't get me wrong. We used to fish for tension like this all the time, years and years ago, 50, 60 years ago, all the time, pair of floats, 18 inches apart, something like that. We did okay, occasional get a tangle, you know, the fish goes through another line, but it is what it is, and you've got both baits in the swim, you've baited. Talking of bait, it's my chicken feed. That's my chicken feed going now. It's about as big as the worms I'm using at the moment. Obviously it's also perch size, but have you seen I've had 3 carp there and that nice roach. I could put bigger ones on, but to be honest, if you put, let's get this out there, get it working. If you put a bigger one on, I find when there's a lot of perch like this, you'll still get the bites, because they'll just grab the tail of it, chunter along, and you get what I call a sliding. You know, it'll drag the float along, not necessarily put it right under fast. So I'm going to save those slightly larger worms if I can. A bite already, man, give me a break. That's a perch. And of course, if you get too many bites and you leave it, you could end up like this, look, chewed off. That's all I say. Another nice carp, and it's on the yellow float again. Wow, got it in, the battery died just as netting it. It's a big fish, guys, definitely. That's double figure fish there. It's somewhere around about the 11s. I'll get that tail out so you can get a full size of it. 11, 12 pounds, something like that. He's not having a lift at all, this one. It's camera shy. Oh, that might go 13 pounds. On a worm and a homemade float. Oh, can't get him out of the net. God, what a session. It's an absolutely beautiful evening. I don't need the look at those reflections. I think that's pretty stunning, don't you? Big clouds up there and everything. So what you can do, don't tell everybody, is if you don't want to scissor the worms up and you haven't got much bait, if they've been in there about a day or so, my belief is you can use, and I have used it, as ground bait. Trust me, there's all smell of worms from this in those bigger bits of peat, and if you're getting through it, getting towards the end of the day, just take it out and chuck it right in where the swim is. It doesn't do any harm, and I believe it does attract them. Now, one fish or more would be very nice. This could be this the mother of all tangles. Two floats together, and I think it's a foul hook carp because it's a right peculiar fight. So this could be game over for the float fishing. I might just touch leather or something like that for the last 20 minutes if I get this fish in. Got that funny angled sort of feel about it that it's either a very good carp. I'm trying to film and get you an angle on it as well. I think there's that snag down there it keeps going through. You know, the broken line that I got caught on earlier on? Fair old bend in the rod. There he is. Look at that. Absolute knitting. That's the rod sort of maxed out there. Cool, it's a nice fish. A nice fish. Still fighting way above his weight. Look at that mess. That's something to behold. That is something to behold for all beginners. Here's a chance. It's just a big double. I got it in. Oh, guys. That is a big fish, guys. Oh, I've got such a mess here. Wowee. Holy smoly. Oh. I'm straining because I put my back out this morning. I think that's worth weighing, people. If you'll lay still, it's a beauty. 16 pounds that one. I knew it was a good fish. 16 pounds. I haven't got my tripod. I don't know if I'm going to get a picture for you. That's the biggest fish on the Red Kite float so far. Wow. 16. The other one was a double. No, this is way bigger. Whoa. Look at that one. There's the angle there. Beauty. Absolute beauty. What a thumper. Let's get it back. Good condition too. I wonder if he give me a scrap the size of that paddle on him. Look at that one, eh? Look at that one. On a homemade float, eh? Happy days.
Hi Graeme, I believe you're off fishing to the Hungerford Canal, so a quick couple of tips, well not so much tips, but little variations of what you could take with you that would work on the day. So as I know, Canal Hungerford does move a little bit more than normal, so it will be flowing more than, say, the Basingstoke Canal locally. So I've picked out a couple of floats that I might take. Probably not everyone's choice, but I like this style waggler with the Vizzy tips. They call them Vizzy wags. I like the sections on the top being orange, black, yellow, black, yellow. So your little dips on the float, you can notice them. And I also like the fact that if you were to, you can either shot it down to nothing, or you could shot it down to just see the yellow. So if they're shy biting, but you need to see the tip more, you know that if that's sunk to there, at least you've had a bite. You know, it's noticeable. So I like the fact they're all preloaded. So all
that's what they're for, though. People might not think that.
Yeah, so it's like
for lift bites and
a
stuff.
Lift bite, like a depth marker. If you like, it's a marker on the surface. You can see the difference, which I quite like. But they do loads of different ones with longer tops, with more lines on them and everything. So quite a nice bit of kit. Something that I would suggest you take in Graeme, just in case, would be like a loafer style trotting float. This is the new ones by Drennan called the titanium trotters.
Yeah.
The reason they're called titanium is it's all to do with the stems. They're made of titanium.
Oh wow, yeah.
So the idea being is you've still got a straight float. So you know, and you've had a wire float in the past and you managed to kink it or catch it and bend it in your net, and you think, oh, for God's sake, and you've got to change it all over again. Whereas that there, like the pole floats all now, that wire they've just got a...
What would you do on the bottom? Rubbers, bands to hold the bottom? They would have an eyelet, it's too fine, isn't it?
Yeah, so what you'd do is you'd just get your rubbers and you put small ones on the bottom. I'd probably run two on there. I'd probably run one up to there, one underneath, and then a large one on the top.
Yeah.
And that would be then, so you can slide up and down your line. Obviously do various sizes. They run from 6.4 grams, 8 AAs, which is quite large, right down to a 4 AA, which is 3.6. So there'll probably be a bit of flow on the Kennet and Avon when you go out Hungerford, and I'd probably use something like that if there was a float, a smaller float. So you really would need a lot, but with a titanium stem, it's very stable in deeper water as well, and you get good bite detection on these.
So the difference here is these you would shot, wouldn't you? Shot those, whereas these would be self-loaded.
So they are self-loaded.
And,
so
and bottom end only?
Bottom ends, yeah. So you'd pop that on and you'd trap either side. I quite like using these float stops now that are about, and they're just rubbers on a wire. They're one use, but once they're on the line, it gives you availability just to slide very easy without having to break shot all the time and reset up your line. The idea of this VisiWag range that Drennan do, don't quote me because I might get this wrong now. Obviously you put this onto your line, and when you're shotting these up, they're all going to sit something like this. They won't be sitting nicely, they'll all sit high, but they're all designed to shot up, if I've got this right on the correct shotting numbers, at like 6 number 10s. So you put 6 number 10s on your line, and then it doesn't matter what size VisiWag float you have, if you had a swivel attachment and you just change the size of the float, they then all shot up exactly the
really?
same.
All the same?
So you only have to put one lot of shot on, and then you could change the size of your float to be the bigger one, the smaller one, and it all shots up exactly the same.
So basically they must have adjusted all these...
They've adjusted all these
the self-weights
there to
what
suit
a job.
that. So, but that's what Drennan do. They're very clever.
They're good with floats, aren't they? Yeah.
Good with floats. And the thing I like is they make everything here. It's all done in their own factory in Oxford. It's really good, and they really do plan their thoughts ahead of a float. I mean, at the end of the day, a float's a float. You could go with a piece of cork, you could go with a piece of foam. If you see it and it goes under, it's doing its job. But obviously, you know what we like in fishing. We like our little gadgets, new toys. But these VisiWags have been out about 5 years. I think there's 7 different models within the VisiWag range. Fatter tops, thinner tops, longer tops, you know, more stripier tops. There's loads there. So, you know, come and have a look. There's plenty there to choose from. So one of my other things that I find this time of year, especially if you want your, well, so not so much on the canal because you should be still, but you're going to be moving down there a little bit. And I find sort of a bit of trotting, bit of thing, one of my favourite lines still that's been around forever and a day is the Silstar line, or used to be known as the Match Team line, which is still there, so it's Silstar Match Team. 014 diameter, which is 4.6 pounds breaking strain, or 10 kilos if you're into kilos. But I say, or 5 pounds. But what I generally find is once you go over 5 pounds for trotting, a lot harder for it to come off the reel, which you probably know yourself, Graeme.
And the match rings are generally small as well, aren't they?
And they're smaller, yeah. So the thinner line will obviously glide through the smaller eyes better. But that's just 2 of my older lines in here that we use, and we're still buying them today. You know, there's nothing old stock; it's all new stock in my shop, and I've still got guys fishing with it every week, and I put people onto it all the time, and they still enjoy it. Well, you know, what everybody knows, a staple line, Maxima, which has been around forever. This is what they call the chameleon one, which I've found in various years when you look at it, this looks quite, I don't know what colour we class it as, a bronzy, browny,
coppery
colour,
bronze, I'd say,
Some of the older ones you get are really dark, I find.
Yes, yeah.
I found some old spools of it, and it's chameleon line, but it's dark, but this still sells as well as it did 25, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
It's a good memorable name, but again, just show you on the test size, it's £5 breaking strain. That's what I'd be looking at if I was sort of trotting and lighter fishing on the canal this time of year. So that would handle your slightly bigger fish, because the fish hopefully not fighting quite as hard this time of year, being colder. And then you can obviously gauge it for the bottom of your hook length to be lighter for fishing for your smaller fish.
And that leads you into hook links.
Leads you to hook links. So literally I've just grabbed a couple because there is so many out there. Everyone has a personal favourite, but so I've picked out some of my good sellers this time of year. So a lot of the canal guys fishing what they call here, it's called a pole special one by Guru. That's an 8-inch rig. You get 8 in a packet, and that's just tied to a straight hook, and that's a size 14. I'll turn this round because the hook's be the right way. I don't know if you can see them through the packet.
It's a bit glary there, I'll go in on them there. Yeah, got it, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a size 14 pole special hook. It's a very fine hook for fishing for more silvers, is what you were sort of aiming to fish for.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, would that be casters and stuff like that?
So,
fine hooks?
So maggot, so I've dug out a couple here. So that's your standard red maggot, which is obviously just a staple thing to take. Well, this time of year for me, one of my favourites would be the pinky, which is the smaller fly, which is a green bottle fly. As you can see the size, if I get... There we go, if I move those off.
Oh, you
can see the size and the maggot better sitting next to each other. So I find the pinky's very good to get a bite.
Yes.
Silverfish, it's small, it's really wiggly, and I just find we get bites off them really well. I quite like fluoros this time of year. Unfortunately, I've run out of fluoros in my shed after the weekend. We sold lots, so I'm not here to show you. Well, something else we put in the ground bait, and also we do fish with these as well on the hook, is squat maggots. So they're very small compared to... If I can hold all three in a line, I'll show you. As you can see, they're different sizes.
Zoom in on those. Yeah, that's the standard. We'll call it the right-hand one we use. It's a standard
maggot, yeah.
Just pan across there. You can see
pinky, and then
the
your
pinkies,
squat.
and then we go across.
Our squats look quite large there from what other people see normally. They are large because I feed them. Believe it or not, I feed them with bread and milk to get them to take it on, and then they double in size nearly. But otherwise they can be so fine, they're quite hard to hook, so I find with a bit of moisture back in them, when you hook them they don't pop. So, but obviously hook size is very important, so you must think I'm mad someone's going to be hooking these, but...
Oh, I can't hear you, seeing them's a problem for me.
They generally put them in ground bait to hold as a feed, and it's just like that, if I can get the light to come on.
That's it, we have to wave around.
They generally put them in a ground bait to hold the fish in the swim as a feed, because
yes.
they grab around hopefully and like picking out for the maggots, and they're very small. But they're very good on the hook as well, but you are starting to talk about, you can see sizes here, I've got 14, 16, 18, 20, 22.
22, don't even go
so,
there.
22, I don't know if we can see
I doubt I'll zoom in on those. No, I can't see those.
No, you can't see
I can't see them with a zoom lens, never mind my eyes.
But if I put my fingers there, that's the size of the hook.
Between the two,
Between the two, yeah. And then obviously 20 and 18, so you'd be fishing very small hooks, and what I call it is fishing for pairs of eyes. So if you drew a peg in your match, generally, some guys like bleak fishing, not for me, but if you drew a peg in your match and there was nothing, it was void of fish, but you could catch
little stuff,
these little tiny ones. Well, if you think there's nothing happening, you could put 200 of them in a net, and you might weigh in half a pound if you're lucky, or whatever it comes to. You might frame in your section. So therefore, obviously, it's worth you doing. So hence the reason that's where squat fishing comes in quite a lot, especially in the winter fishing, because it's good for holding smaller fish. Okay. Generally, if they're feeding well on the pinky and you're trying to get some of the better quality roach and things that do appear, big casters. So obviously a byproduct of our maggot, we actually make these in store. So
that would be the standard size as the red ones?
Standard size as the red ones, that's it, so it's just a standard cast. We don't generally, well no one does really, you don't do obviously casters in a squat or casters in a pinky. They've become so small, I think if you try to hook them they'd burst anyway. Is there a difference between casters in red and white, or do they just turn into that same gold colour? No, so what happens, so if I used a red maggot for turning caster, you see you've got the odd white sort of looking one, they'd look rather red and they'd look really dark, all the casters, they'd be really dark, which for me, I actually really like a red caster maggot. Generally it's all about the white maggot, that's what we do with casters. So, but I'll do some for the purpose of a video for you, Graeme. I'll do some different colour casters. See what they look like as casters. And we'll try as a little experiment, red, yellow and fluoro casters, and see if we can make them different. But yeah, we turn these in store. One of our real big important things is, you see this bag?
Yeah.
It's called a food grade bag, and what happens with the cheaper bags when we've bagged in the past, or when I was even growing up in the other shops, the bags are too thin, and what happens is where it sits on the side of the caster and it's cold, you end up with these lines on the casters, and they're actually burning against the bag. It's a reaction between the caster and the plastic, and it just burns them. So we spend this extra money to get this food grade bag, which then means we don't have any burnt, stripy looking casters. They're all the same. If it's down to me, I'd fish with the burnt casters, because I don't think it makes a lot of difference in my eyes. But for a selling purpose, we like them to look immaculate, nice, and we do lots of bait, and we do a good job on it.
Well, you've got a reputation of bait, because I've heard it from other anglers.
Yeah. So we've been punching hard. So I'll show you another quick hook length, because I've been off on a ramble again. Another one we sell lots of in the shop. So again, I think it's only an 8-inch.
Now, wouldn't they be? These are the ones I remember in a packet like that.
Yeah.
Would they have a longer length than the 8-inch, or would they still be 8?
Some do. Majority are 12s. So yeah. So if you look on the back, my eyes can't see. This is probably better than you. So it tells you on most sizes. So you've got 8 barbed hooks tied to 30 centimetres of extra strong low diameter mono.
Yeah, but what's 30 centimetres? Somebody my age.
Inches.
It is 12 inches.
12 inches. So
that's better.
So okay. So it's double.
Yeah.
It's that together, then your rig. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing you have to be very careful when you're opening these.
It's untangling. Yeah,
untangling them.
Yeah.
So you
don't even go there.
I'm not even going to take one out, but you can see it's looped in there nicely. If you actually look at it, normally if you look at the way the loop exits out the circle, come out the other way, it's normally about 4 or 5 wraps and it all comes apart. Or you can do what I've done in the past, twist them up, pull them in my fingers, cut them off and go, I'll get a new one. So that's generally what happens. Well, there you go, that's a good way of connecting. All your Drennan products have a nice sort of diagram, so it's just a figure of 8 loop to loop.
But that uncoiling them, what not? I mean, I hate shotting floats at the best of times, so these ones, these got just as me personally, Graham's special choice would be loaded ones, and then just
brilliant.
And then just a couple of extra shot as per the current, the flow, the wind.
Yeah.
You know, you can get it where you want it, you know.
Yeah, so, but I mean, there is so many varieties in the shops now on hook lengths, hooks. Generally what I say is, if you're going to be fishing for silverfish, you want to lighten up this time of year. It's cold, the fish are more finicky, they're not as confident.
Oh, ground bait guy. What would you use? Fine ground baits?
So
or
fine ground
Canal?
bait. So a lot of the guys who do my matches for my team, they'd be fishing with like either like breadcrumb at the moment.
Yeah.
So, or I like a darker ground bait this time of year for me, especially if it's clearer.
Yeah.
If the fish are on a white background and they swim over it, well, they stand out like a sore thumb. I think they know that as well. So I find a darker ground bait on the top for the fish to come over the top, generally quite good, but a fine ground bait, you will find most ground baits, we'll have to do a video to show you the particle that you get within a ground bait. So you might think it's fine by the time you mix it up and it all looks great. Stick it on a little pinky riddle and keep shuffling it. The amount of particles and bits you get out of your ground bait is quite astonishing in some of it. How much is in there. So normally to riddle it to make it nice and fine, and you can fish your ground bait over maggots. Or sorry, fish your ground bait maggot over the top. Or say like the breadcrumb, punch crumb, piece of bread on the hook. Brilliant method as well this time of year. So there's a few little tips there, or a few little bits of tackle for you to look at, and we'll have a look at some more soon.